And we're live. Ren's point of view reactions. Let's go.
Those decisions to take that line out were made in America. I know that the British side were not happy about it. I mean, it's slightly ironic because the book isn't published in the States by Collins. But I think it's just part of lawfare. I mean, the way that rich and powerful people use the courts to try and suppress free speech, not because the stuff is not true, but because people can't be bothered with the expense and hassle of fighting these cases. And I think that's a very worrying development. But I can take pride that the only two people who didn't like the book in terms of trying to issue summons were Prince Harry and President Trump. No one else.
Yeah, well, that's a good pedigree, isn't it?
Okay. On your book, do you believe that there is more problems of a really serious nature facing Andrew Mountbatten Windsor?
Absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of material taken out for legal reasons. I mean, all my Peter Mandelson stuff was taken out because no one believed it.
Really?
But there's plenty of material to do with financial irregularities, bribes, for example, in Kazakhstan, underage girls, and the whole national security question hasn't really been addressed. The fact is, because the royal family has no proper scrutiny, the Russian and Chinese secret services use that as a way to penetrate the establishment. And I think until we get more transparency from the royals, that's always going to be a vulnerability, particularly if you have greedy royals like Andrew and Sarah Ferguson.
Okay. Interesting. Can I just ask one? So it sounds to me like you've got enough material for another book, Andrew.
I do. It's called Untitled.
And when's that out?
Well, I need time to write it and research it, but I would think within the next 2 years.
Right. So that's a very good point. Do you believe in 2 years' time that Andrew will be in a cell?
Well, I mean, certainly if he was kept at His Majesty's pleasure, that would solve his accommodation problems, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Andrew in a cell. Obviously, he's been nicked. This film being filmed, he got arrested like yesterday, I think. Roy was getting arrested. By the time this is out, it'd be interesting to see if it is even a possibility for a member of the royal family to be put in prison. This is one to watch, space to watch, see how everything's gonna pan out. Let's see where this goes.
Well, it would filter through to your earlier theory, Kelvin, that he'll end up in a smaller and smaller sort of place of accommodation. As he moves from Royal Lodge to Sandringham, and he finally ends up in a cell somewhere.
How many books have you sold?
Well, I don't know, but it's clearly still selling, which is great. But I think I write books in an attempt to shift the dial, and I think we have shifted the dial here.
And in terms of the way that the police will react to this story, you said that it's probably not necessarily going to be enough from the royal family's perspective to actually say, we are going to help you investigate Andrew. But, I mean, will the police react, do you think, to this?
No, I'm afraid not. I mean, I'm afraid, we still live in a very deferential world towards the royal family. I think there are two laws, one for the royal family and one for everyone else. I mean, I've offered material to the National Crime Agency, who should be looking into this. The Met will say, we've looked into this and nothing to see, same old story. And I think until we have, as I say, those files released from his time as a trade envoy, we won't have all the evidence that could be produced to show how corrupt he is. We've got to actually remember, this is a story about financial corruption by a senior royal who was supported by and protected by the institution. I mean, that's a big story.
It really is a massive story, isn't it? And what about the American involvement now with the Department of Justice having all of these files, looking at them all, seeing what Mandelson has been up to, seeing what Andrew's been up to? Do you see them putting any pressure on the royal family to try and at least get Andrew to talk to someone?
Well, I mean, they can't put pressure on Andrew. I mean, he doesn't have to give evidence. I mean, I know you won't. For 15 years, the victims' lawyers, there was a mutual legal assistance treaty, all sorts of people approached him, and he refused to cooperate. And he's not going to cooperate now. I mean, the only way he's going to cough up is if PC Plod comes and knocks on his door in Sandringham.
Do you believe that
But at the same time, like just because PC Plot knocks at his door, Sandra, which he has, it doesn't mean that he has to go and say anything. The first rule when you get arrested is what? You have the right to remain silent. So why would he implicate himself in anything, whether or not you believe the man's guilty or innocent or whatever it may be? And he's been arrested, as far as I'm aware. I might be wrong. He's been arrested on corruption charges we're discussing now, nothing to do with Epstein yet, as far as I'm aware. It's more financial, using his position in the royal family in a corrupt manner, getting deals done. Yeah, let's go.
The children are, their relationship with their parents is damaged by this, or do you think there's just PR they're putting out into the news sites saying they're not talking to their dad or mum or something?
Well, there's a huge PR campaign to try and protect the daughters. The line is that, they're privately staying in touch, but publicly distancing themselves, appalled by everything. The fact is the daughters knew all about this. I mean, money was fenced through their accounts. They received gifts from some of the dodgy people that their parents dealt with. And they're deeply involved. They were taken on many of these taxpayer-funded trips, paid for by the taxpayer with all the attendant security costs, built up a nice contacts book, and are now exploiting that in their jobs.
Wow.
So I'm afraid the daughters are pretty deeply involved in this story too, despite the spin that's been sent out.
And is that true of Fergie as well?
Well, Fergie's absolutely. They're Bonnie and Clyde. They're partners in crime. I mean, we know from the News of the World sting in 2010 that she was selling access to Andrew. It wasn't an isolated incident. This was a series of events where it was very openly boasting that he was using his links as a trade envoy to basically introduce people. We know, for example, that he was offered a £3.85 million bung to introduce a Greek water company in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, let's be honest. Like, he's been friends with Epstein. He's messed up there, yeah, and they want to get him for something. What they're talking about here about trade envoys and his position as a royal and brokering deals, that's probably what's happening all over the world. Like, Price from the Fugees went to prison for trying to broker deals with business people meeting Obama. He got down for corruption, went in prison. You go to like other countries in the world where even celebrities, if you know the person that everybody wants to do business with and you're an in, like, obviously there's legal ways of going about it, but people take money, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, regards the kids and everything and Epstein, again, I ain't got the answers, but that's dodgy. But let's see where this goes with the corruption. But is him and Fergie taking money off people to broker deals. Some deals might not even materialize, and they're kind of untouchable. They're royal. So what are they gonna do about it? You give them $2 million to get a deal done. The deal doesn't materialize. They got the money already. Like, free money, innit?
So, yeah, I mean, there are huge questions about Sarah Ferguson, not least under charity law, under the Companies Act. So she's a material witness. She should be giving evidence. She was staying in these houses. There are more numbers for her in the Epstein Black Book than for Andrew. And I think there's a good case to investigate and charge her as well.
Well, when you see stories like the one in which she is exchanging emails, Kelvin, with Epstein, suggesting her friend with a great body that you might wish to meet, or you might wish to marry, or you might wish to employ, you kind of go, that's just obviously one message of many. And let me ask you this, Andrew, in terms of what we know about the obviously the underage girls that were on offer at Epstein's island and his villas and around the world, were there any underage boys involved as well?
Yes, I believe there were. Epstein was an equal opportunities employer, and he gave people exactly what they wanted. And if they wanted boys, he himself, I understand, had a sexual relationship with Lex Wexner. So he was bisexual, as was Ghislaine Maxwell. So yeah, it was the complete a la carte service.
Wow. And that means that Peter Mandelson was very disingenuous when he gave that interview to Laura Kuenssberg, in which he said, because I was a gay man,
Great point.
I didn't actually really have any knowledge or was never told of any of the sexual misconduct because I wasn't interested in girls. I always doubted that because I thought to myself, well, if you're going to procure underage girls for sex, you're probably going to procure underage boys as well.
Yes, I mean, there were a series of honey trap operations. I mean, it was all about collecting compromat on people to be able to blackmail them and to trade information and use this information. I suspect there will be, well, I know there will be more that coming out about Mandelson. So I wouldn't perhaps take what he says entirely. I would take it with a pinch of salt.
Extraordinary.
Well, I wonder, is there there was one phrase that I saw you use, I think in a Daily Mail article, suggesting that there was a threesome between Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and a British Prime Minister. Now, I took it that it wasn't Theresa May, right? So I wonder, and you said it wasn't Winston Churchill. Who was it?
Sued, but it is actually in the Epstein releases, and I'm amazed that the press haven't picked up on it. They actually talk about the orgy, and they named the particular individual.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Well, I guess this is probably not the place to say it. If nobody else is saying it. But thank you. Andrew, this is fascinating stuff. So in your view, there's so much more that could be being written by the press, but which is not being written despite the availability of information. Are you saying they're frightened of being sued? Are they frightened of upsetting people? What's the story?
Well, I don't know. I mean, clearly there's a lot of material to go through, 3 million pages. I mean, there's a lot of work being done by, in effect, citizen journalists on Substack. There's a lot of stuff in people's podcasts, for example. I had lots of stories about satanic rites and all sorts of things that I was given, and I didn't believe them. I discarded them. But we're now seeing stories of for example, 2 girls who may have been killed in rough sex, buried on a golf course. I understand. Sorry.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Sick people, you know. That's mad. It's unbelievable. Like, to be fair. Let's finish this video.
Police have approached the FBI about a story connected with Prince Andrew. There's bodies being found on royal estates. So this is getting darker and darker, and it seems that what people are telling me may have some truth about it, because this is about 4 or 5 different people.
Wow. Well, I'm literally speechless at this point.
And what I can't understand about this is that there are so many different conspiracy stories, true stories involving the premier family of our land, that actually, what my suspicion is that journalists have become bored by it. It took 4 years of your life to put this book together. And I get the impression that most journalists today are being spoon-fed this stuff and therefore can't be bothered to spend 4 minutes looking at it. Is that your view?
Yes, I'm journalism around, but people are very lazy, and this is true about royal coverage generally. People don't do the legwork. I talked to 300 people, approached 3,000 people, and have, I only used about 1/10 of my material.
That's crazy. That's a lot of information. A lot of research. I'm going to put a link to the book in the description. The book, one's out, one's not out yet. In the description, I need to read it, to be fair. That much research, the detail in it is going to be like ridiculous.
Journalists don't have the time to do this sort of research, but they are being spoon-fed stuff. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff in my book, which still hasn't been covered in the press. Andrew's mistress in Mayfair, the mistress, Sonia Cooling, the Thai that he took on with him to Thailand. So there's lots of stuff that actually is in the public domain and isn't even being covered.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. It's great Great
Andrew Lownie, I'm told
journalism, great book.
Fantastic journalism and an incredible story. And you know, I look forward to the second book coming out, or the next book coming out. Anyway, Andrew, thank you very much indeed. Andrew Lownie there. I'm actually quite shocked, Kelvin. I mean, I'm not easily shocked. He's talking about dead bodies on royal estates. Yeah. He's talking about girls being killed during rough sex, buried on golf courses.
And the rest.
It's extraordinary.
Yes, and the reality is that we don't know any of it. And the problem is that we never believe it of the royal family. We just say, oh, it's just tabloid stuff.
Yeah.
None of this is true. I mean, for instance, the Sunday Times employ a royal editor, right?
Yes.
And
I don't know what she does.
Yeah, it's hard to know what she does because I'm not being critical particularly of her, but the truth about the matter is you could fill up the Sunday Times every Sunday from now until doomsday with this stuff.
Those decisions to...
Yeah, that's crazy. And logically looking at it like a normal person, like there's more to this, like spiritually, like if assuming all this is true. And what gets me though, like what really gets me is the crazy is now Epstein, right? All the emails, all that stuff, and people coming to the light. Andrew being target right now. But this ain't nothing new. Like, if you think about it, like, the only reason this is even on the as a spotlight is because it's international, first of all, and there's an email thread, and there's a bunch of people connected with it. But you know what everyone forgets about? You know what everybody's forgetting about right now? Jimmy Savile. Like, we don't even know if he's international. He ain't got no email thread. He's before he wasn't digital. He provided the same services, I would imagine, as Epstein. But it's like, that's blown under the carpet. The BBC, a national institution, was complicit in that crime. Everybody's making a big deal about Epstein. I'm not saying Epstein's not a big deal, but we got homegrown talent right here doing the same thing, procuring the same service as Epstein in similar circles. It's just mad that no one, like, obviously, I don't know, Lord knows if they knew each other or anything like that, but the honey trap thing, I can imagine it was the same program, the same thing that was going on. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Appreciate it.